Okay, the next part of this entire fiasco is making these clips. Now, basically, what these do is these grab the cable. When the hydraulic lift pulls the cable up 10 inches, these jam down into a wedge and put pressure on the cable, and then pull the cable up. So. The problem is that he couldn't get three-quarter cable size, and so that's why I'm making this, because all he could get was 5/8. And basically we're going to make these wedges. There's 2 per unit, and he wants me to make 3 extra sets. You know, since I'm there, it really was much cheaper to make 3 sets right away, and he says that they get lost all the time, so it's best to make them. So basically what I'm going to do, and let me get that piece of material, is I bought a piece of bar stock this size, a little heavier because we're going to 3/4, and then also a little bit wider, and we're going to get 2 of these out of one piece here. You can kind of see how that's going to go. Now, what I have to do is figure out how to get my hole in the center there, right? So what I did is I bought a piece where I would have 2. I'm going to set up to center. I'm going to drill a hole straight through center. I'm going to take the tap and tap out the hole, and then split the piece in half, probably with the bandsaw, but who knows how it's going to go. And then I'll end up with those basic shapes with the threaded gripper, and then cut the angles and the slots and drill a hole and so on and so forth. And then once all that's done, once all of them are done, then I send it to a case hardener, and he case hardens them so that they don't wear out right away, cutting that or holding that cable. So we'll do that. I've got them over on the bandsaw. I ended up buying 26 inches of this material. I've got it over on the bandsaw right now. I'm cutting out a whole series of segments. I think I'm cutting 9. And we only need 8, but I always do a couple of extra just in case. And that way, in case something goes wrong, I've got extra. All right, so let's get started. So as I said, I've already cut out 3 or 4 of them, and got a couple more to cut here. And basically we just drag this out to the line and center it out on the line, tighten her up. Oh, we need a little oil because this is not a coolant run saw, although it should be. But it seems to work pretty good with just a little bit of oil. It gives it just a tad, little bit of lubrication that allows it to cut smoothly. So now we just wait 10 minutes or so for this to cut through. This is 8620, or actually it's an equivalent from another company, but it's going to case harden well and all that. So the saw is having a bit of trouble getting through it. So it's not mild steel by any stretch of the imagination. Well, good morning. Nick Collier here, and just this very second I'm thinking I'm hearing rain patter on the roof of the old barn here. Well, new barn. It's the day after Thanksgiving. We're back in the saddle, and we're cutting these segments. We just finished cutting them on the bandsaw. But the bandsaw, although it's reasonably accurate, it's not as accurate as I need it to be right now. I need these 2 surfaces to be square, because we're going to put it back on the bandsaw at some point and cut it this way, and I'm going to have to build a jig to hold this thing, and I want these surfaces to be consistent. So right now we're going to square up the front edge of this, and then we'll come back in later, flip them, and square up the back side, and also get all the depth consistent. So hey, hang in there. We're going to have some fun. We'll bring this in a little closer so you can kind of see see the action. How's that? That's better. I'm going to spin it just a bit. Nice. All right, let's flip it on. And I think we better slow this down. Put it on the compound speed. That's better. And we got to reverse the direction. There we go. And we're just going to take a cleanup pass. That's it. Whatever it's going to take to clean this up. All right. Pop this one out. Pop the next one back in. And we're going to do that, what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 times. Well, you know, there's no reason for you to go have another piece of pie or have a turkey sandwich. Okay, talk to you soon. Okay, now I've cut my one side, and now I've got to come in and cut the other side at exactly the same thickness each time, times 9. So what I've done, and I don't think you can quite see it, I've just taken a little piece of angle iron, right there we go, and put it in my jaw, and then clamped it, and that's going to give me a position to work from. So then come in and set my my smallest piece, and then cut each piece to that size. And so far I've cut a half a dozen of them, and I hit one that was about, I don't know, 80 thousandths too thick, and I had to cut on that for a while. And this is 8620, so this stuff is not easy to cut. It's takes some time. You got to go slow. You got to use a lot of oil. So I got a couple, 2 or 3 more to cut here, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So let's go ahead and cut this, and we're going to take it in. And what I've done is set my DRO. Maybe I'll set you up here and you can kind of see it. Oh, you can't see it because of that light bulb, that's for sure. So my DRO is set at 0 for that smallest piece, and now I'm going to bring it in. I'm at 16 thousandths large, so I'm going to bring it into 0. And that's going to set me up at exactly where I want to be. 0. All right, then we just start traveling the Y direction and start cutting our surface. Here, I'll swing you back around to the cut. There we go. And we're just going to start walking our way down that surface and putting a little oil on it on a regular basis. Machine off. And go ahead and clear it. Oops, I'm going to have to move the camera here. Open my piece up, put the next one in. First I got to make sure all my edges are clear so I don't have any burrs hanging out. Looks like we got one little burr right there. And we got a burr right here. There we go. All right, so now drop this in, run it up against our stop, and lock it in place. Crank up our cutting head Bring it over until we touch. There we go. And we're at 5,000, so this one's going to be pretty easy. Okay, so we've got 9 of these babies, and we're basically going to cut this shape except with a 3/4 hole instead of a 5/8 hole. And so we talked about that earlier. So right now what I want to do is I want to come in and drill a hole right down the center of this block here. And so we're just do some basic layout. Let that dry a second, and well, since it's cold in here, it's probably going to take about 10 minutes to dry, so we're going to put you on hold and go do something else for 10 minutes. We'll be back. Nick Collier here. Rainy, cold morning. I love it. As we get further and further into the autumn, we're going to, we've got 8 more of these to drill. Or counter drill, then drill with the pilot, and then drill with the actual size. And I believe I can't remember what it was, 23, 30 seconds, 23, 30 seconds, yes. And then we're going to tap it, and we've drilled it slightly oversized because we're not really looking for threads, we're looking for grippers. And you'll see as we go further along. So stick with me, and we're going to be drilling holes for the next hour or two. Okay, so we got all 9 of them drilled. Well, 8 of them, because one of them, the hole was a bit off and we messed it up. But that's why I made 9, so I could mess one of them up. So we've got 8 holes drilled. Now we're running in a 3/4 tap. Now these holes have been drilled oversized because I don't need it to be threads. I need it to be grippers. And so the oversize allows me to cut these threads a lot easier, for one. Well, also the handle that I'm using allows me to cut threads a lot easier. And for another, it was just all around easier. And you can see that this thing's just going in without a fight. Now it isn't super oversized, but it is, you know, I think it was 23, 30 seconds, and a standard thread drill was 11/16, so it's like one jump up. And you can see our threads. Let's bring it in a little closer. You can see they're not full threads. They've got the crown of the thread is flattened out, which is just fine because these are cable grips, so we're good. And also I didn't go all the way to the bottom, which is just fine also. So we've got 3 done, so we've got 5 more to do. We'll be back. Good morning, Nick Collier here, and we're continuing with this sewer slinger process, and we've cut our holes in these blocks, and this is 8620, and we've threaded our holes. I don't know if you can see that. We'll bring it in close so you can kind of see. And now, if you'll look at this little example block that my plumber guy sent me, we're going to look up close. You'll see that there's a small, looks like about a 1/4 inch hole in the top there. And I know what that hole's for because I saw it. There's a little bracket that goes up from here so that you can grab this and pull it out of the way in order to get your cable in and out. So we're going to take and cut that hole, and on both sides, of course, because of course this is a two-piece unit. The line isn't there anymore, but you know, one piece goes here and the other piece goes here, and once we got the hole drilled, now we can split it in half. But before we split it in half, we want to drill those holes and play with a couple other things too. So we're going to do that, and hang in there. Okay, I'm eyeballing this thing, and it looks to me like it's dead center between these two sides and dead center between the thread and the edge. Now, the way this thing's set up probably doesn't matter a whole lot because there's these kind of adjuster things that go in there. But we'll put it dead center. Why not? As soon as I can find a veneer. There we go. Now, we're gonna go, I'm wondering, maybe we don't need all that beef. This thing is much smaller. Well, actually it's not. It's about the same size. Okay, we're gonna go with what we got here. Let's get a pin. And we'll do both sides. And we've got 8, 50, 60, 70. 870, so that means we got 4, 35, 25, 35. And that should give us a halfway point. Pretty good. There we go. And then we're going to go for a halfway point the other direction, of course. And actually, I think we're sitting dead nuts halfway already from drilling the bigger hole. Drop our pointer down, come across, get my cheater specs, and drop her in right there. Okay, now we'll hit that at 0, and then we're going to come across to the other side. Bring that down, and that's going to be right there. And that's 159.23. Can we make it 160? Let's make it 159 even. And see what it looks like. I'd say that's pretty good. So 159, let's write that down because I'll forget it for sure. 1.590. Okay, take this up. We're going to get our center. Let's put it on fast forward. Yes. On the money. Let's make sure we're there. About as there as you can get. So now we've got, and I think this is 1/4 inch, and we're going to give that a try and see. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're all set up. We got our drill in place. We know what size drill it is. A number 7 for 1/4 inch coarse thread. We're going to bottom out on our vise here, hold the place, and then I just like let my hand or let my arm drop, and that locks me in. I'm not going to use a center drill because this isn't a super accurate hole. It's just a hole. But at the same time, I'm going to start real slow and let it find its own center, and then I can just kind of come in and drill it, and it'll stay pretty much where I put it. Now I'm going down about 3/4 of an inch. I only really need 1/4 of an inch or so of threads. There we go, we bottomed out. Maybe 5/8. Okay, not 3/4. Now we rotate to 1590, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 0. Do the same thing on this side. Remembering that this is 86/20, it's not easy stuff to cut. But with a lot of oil and a lot of patience, it will cut. There we go. Bottomed out, bring in the vacuum, suck out all the excess, and it's a done deal. On to the next piece. Okay, so what I've done is I've set my chuck up and I've tightened it, but not super tight. So now what I can do is, and I've drilled, or I've threaded the one. What we'll do is go ahead and take it over to the other one at 1 inch 590 thousandths, 70, 80, 90. A little bit of go juice and start it up and just take it down, and it just kind of grabs itself and goes down until it stops and starts slipping. And It doesn't really hurt the bit any. Certainly doesn't hurt the chuck. And, you know, again, I haven't got it really super tight, so just tight enough to when it bottoms out, it stops spinning. So we've got the threads for that. And this was the last one, so we're ready to go. We'll be back. Okay, we've got 8 of these. They're all drilled, ready to go, drilled, tapped, and ready to go. Now what we have to do, and what do I do with my little clip? There it is we've got to come in and saw this in half exactly. Now we are going to come back, once we saw, we're going to come back and machine both of those surfaces. But for the moment, we got to saw this in half, and this is not going to fit on my saw. It'll fit on my little saw, which is not accurate at all, but it won't fit on my big saw. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to build some kind of jig so that my big saw can hold this. So, you know, maybe come in with a couple of pieces of angle iron to grip it from here with some lockdown bolts so that the saw blade can come right through the center, and then the angle iron goes over to the gripper that holds on to, that normally holds on to the steel. So something in that general area. We're going to play with that a bit and see what we can come up with. So hang in there with me. Let's see what we got. Okay, we scrounged around and come up with something that just might work. I think what I want to do is use the two bolt holes right here and build a little platform, or weld a little platform on this surface here, and then have the 2 bolt holes so I can screw to it. And then we've got a pretty good solid connection there. And I'm not even sure we're going to have to do anything with the back. We just cut right down into it, and when it's cut, one end will fall, well, it won't fall off actually, because it's going to be held by the bolt hole, so, or the bolt. So we're going to give that a try and see what it looks like. I'm going to go get a piece of material that's going to fit over that, maybe a piece of 1/4 inch or something like that. And then we're going to drill a couple of holes in there, and we'll be back in a minute.